Alright folks, how you doing? Welcome back. Well, need to have a shave. Now, just recently I've been following the case of Akaash Singh, and he strikes me very much as a classic case of an empath ensnared by a narcissist. And this is all based on the teachings of H.G. Tudor. Check him out if you possibly can. His work could be potentially life-saving, particularly if you've ever been ensnared by a narcissist or if you're an empath. As a normal, I just follow him out of intellectual curiosity. I've never, strictly speaking, needed him because I'm not an empath. But if you are an empath, pay attention to that man. He could save your life. No exaggeration. But the way that Akaash was talking to Fresh and Fit on his Flagrant podcast, the way that Akaash was talking to Myron especially, reminded me of Prince Harry, in that he came across as an empath under the ensnarement of a narcissist. Now, empaths who are being influenced by narcissists can come across as narcissists because they're kind of reflecting them. See, this is where the manosphere and the red pill community, like Myron and Donovan, come up a bit short. They have no knowledge of narcissism, so they're operating with an incomplete picture. They don't have all the pieces of the puzzle. So, the way that what's her name? Jen Cell or Jen Seal, I just call her Jezebel, pretty much covers it. The way that she comes across seems to me like an upper lesser type A female narcissist of the somatic or elite cadre. The upper lesser A is basically the village bicycle. They're crass, foul mouthed, charming, and charismatic. Narcissists, if nothing else, are creatures of contradiction. They are victims, but at the same time superior. You know, they shift the goalposts, they blame shift, they deflect. The one thing they'll never do accept responsibility. They'll never respect their partners. And most female narcissists are mid-range, so she's something of an exception in that regard. But there are lower female narcissists. It tends to be that most male narcissists are lower, whereas most female narcissists are mid-range. But there are exceptions to this, and Jezebel, I can't remember her name, she's an exception in that regard. And the way she's talking about popping her pussy in college and all the rest of it, and a guy came over and fingered her asshole and all this. This is the way an upper lesser A would talk. This is not the way a mid-ranger would talk, because mid-rangers operate with a facade, whereas lesser narcissists or lower narcissists have no facade. They're just blunt instruments. They just come out and blurt it all out. That's how I know that she's upper lesser A. And she's talking about being ran through by white boy fraternities in college. So this is a classic case of an empath being ensnared by a narcissist. And as long as Akaash is married to this woman, he'll behave a lot like a narcissist himself. This is one of the lessons that I took from following the case of Prince Harry and this one's wife, as HG calls them. So this is where the manosphere falls a little bit short because they don't have the knowledge of H.G. Tudor. But this Jezebel, as I say, I can't actually remember her name. Is it Jen Seal or Jansa? I don't know. Anyway, just fucking Jezebel covers it anyway. She'll put on all the traits. No shame, no accountability, no responsibility. She'll never apologize for anything, at least not sincerely. Paying more attention to the new ring that she got, rather than the man who was giving it to her, turning away when he kissed her on the cheek, because he is just an appliance for her. He's just a toy, a tool. And she will disengage at some point when she finds a better option, and she'll jettison him, and he'll go into full meltdown. It's unfortunate, but that's what will happen, because what the manosphere creators like Donovan and Myron don't know is that the empaths have an emotional addiction to the narcissist. It's like the spider and the fly. It's like it was a really good episode actually of The Outer Limits that really summarizes it. It's like an end of the world episode, and at the end of the episode you see this American general. He's been controlled by these parasites, and he kind of slumps down on his desk and he pulls the curtain down just before he dies, and you see these parasites crawling all over the walls, and there's one coming out the back of his neck. That is a relationship between a narcissist and an empath. The episode was called Dead Man's Switch. Flash forward to the end. That is a relationship between Jezebel and Akaash. I mean, she's even so blunt and so blatant and so crass, so rude and disrespectful. All signs of a classic narcissist, just throwing it all out there. That she talks about wanting to have an orgy with her co-host's husband right in front of her own husband. She couldn't be anything but a narcissist, you know? HG warns against making snap judgments, but in this case, it's perfectly clear what you're dealing with. And as I say, either somatic or elite mycadra, but unquestionably upper lesser type A. But the thing is, sorry, I get a bit sidetracked. The relationship between empath and narcissist is symbiotic, in that Akaash has an emotional addiction to his wife, and because of that, he will never leave her, because it's feeding an addiction. It's like any other addiction. It's like being addicted to cocaine or heroin or alcohol or anything else. It's not easy to break the addiction, but this is a worse addiction because it's emotional, not physical. It's not like you can just, throw the cigarettes away one day or chuck all the bottles of booze, down the drain. This is an emotional addiction. So he needs the help of HG Tudor to break it, and it will be painful for him. He won't do it quickly, and he won't do it easily, and it won't happen overnight. And you really need to keep an eye on him, because once he, is disengaged from, once she leaves him, you need to put the guy on suicide watch. I'm not joking. So check out the works of HG Tudor. Thanks for watching.